How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
No one should have to choose between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Purina is helping to create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters through the Purple Leash Project, so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra, a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course, because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Everyone is telling her she dreamt it, but in The Woman in Cabin 10, Lo Blacklock is determined to uncover the truth. In the gripping new thriller coming to Netflix October 10th, Keira Knightley plays a journalist aboard a luxury yacht who witnesses a crime she can't unsee. Adapted from Ruth Ware's best-selling novel, directed by Simon Stone. Watch The Woman in Cabin 10, only on Netflix on October 10th.
Do you want diverse horror with teeth? Speculative fiction that cuts deep? This is it. Blood Clot Zine is Canada's first BIPOC horror and speculative fiction zine. Forget the stories you know. These are the nightmares they tried to bury, the futures they couldn't imagine. Own a piece of the revolution October 7th. All proceeds go to Doctors Without Borders. You can find more info on bloodclotzine.com and Blood Clot Zine on Instagram and Threads. Blood Clot Zine. Stories that bleed. Thanks for listening to the Red Treehouse, where I tell you scary stories to keep you up at night. You can listen to the Red Treehouse wherever you stream podcasts. Just be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Oh, and leave a 5-star review. You can follow the Red Treehouse on social media, on Instagram and Threads at Red Treehouse Pod. And the Red Treehouse is also on Patreon, where by joining even for free, you can receive exclusive member benefits. Simply go to patreon.com/Red Treehouse. Important note: sources for this episode can be found in the show notes. The Red Treehouse is dedicated to my dad. I love you, Pop. It's no secret that superstitions and urban legends span time and culture, with each putting their own unique spin on them. For example, El Silbón, which we'll explore in the next episode, originated in South America. But if you remember, back in episode 43, I covered an interesting story about the Whistler, who is alleged to stalk its victims and who announces his presence by whistling. The same is true for El Mal de Ojo, or the evil eye, which is believed to cause harm, illness, or even death to an unsuspecting victim through nothing more than a look. In this episode of the Red Treehouse, we're going to explore a creepy urban legend that spans most, if not all, of the Spanish-speaking world, El Mal de Ojo. As we continue our celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, let's consider these questions. Is it possible to cause harm, illness, or even death simply by looking at another person? And are the strange occurrences that have been attributed to El Mal de Ojo coincidence or something truly evil? I'll share the story. You decide for yourself. I'm your host, Will. Welcome to the Red Treehouse. Belief in the evil eye spans much of the known world, including Mexico, the Caribbean, Latin America, West Africa, and the Middle East, and goes back millennia to the earliest civilizations. And while some believe it's nothing more than a spooky superstition, there are far more who believe El Mal de Ojo may be responsible for misfortune and tragedy. In the simplest sense, El Mal de Ojo has to do with a person's eyes, and is, quote, the spiritual belief that when a person looks at another in the eye with envy, jealousy, malicious intent, or even admiration, the recipient receives negative energy, end quote. It can happen whether it's intentional or not. It means there are, quote, people capable of making others sick simply through intense looks, whether they are voluntary or not, end quote. Regardless of intent, the impact of El Mal de Ojo is felt soon after, with some becoming sick, experiencing tragedy, bad luck, and in the absolute worst cases, death itself. One article placed El Mal de Ojo in 3 categories. First, the unconscious evil eye that causes unintentional harm without the knowledge of the person. Second, a malicious stare born out of insecurity, anger, greed, jealousy, and envy. And third, the unseen evil eye, which is considered to be the most malicious and dangerous of all. Something interesting. El Mal de Ojo is believed to affect young children and babies more than any other group. Historically, Mayan communities believed children were especially vulnerable because they had not yet developed the senses or skills to repel it. And it is believed the threat is especially prevalent during the month of November, during Dia de Muertos, or Day of the Dead, leading a genuine fear that babies could be taken by the spirits of the dead who have returned from the spiritual world. Symptoms of El Mal de Ojo in children include persistent crying, the quick onset of illness, diarrhea, and restlessness. And it was believed that those who transmitted the evil eye were born on certain days of the week, Tuesdays or Fridays especially. Though children are considered particularly vulnerable, adults are not immune to its impact. Symptoms of El Mal de Ojo in adults include fever, diarrhea, fatigue, nausea, vomiting, insomnia, loss of appetite, and bad luck. But it leaves us with this question. What causes this negative energy to be transferred from an adult to a child or another adult? One article stated, quote, the most common reason they could get El Ojo is if an angry or drunk person looks at or passes close by the child. In addition, El Ojo can be given by a person who is a caloroso, meaning that they are overheated from working out in the hot sun or cooking over a hot stove or fire. It could also be caused by the mal aire. Or bad air, which comes from someone returning from working out in the milpa, a small plot farm, in the monte, the low brush jungle, and brings the monte air to the child, end quote. Other communities believe that El Ojo can be given if a person coos a baby without picking them up or touching them, marks a cross on the child's forehead, or if the person has been to a cemetery and hadn't bathed or showered. All of this still leaves us with an important question. Is there a way to protect oneself from El Mal de Ojo, or treat it if afflicted? The answer depends on the culture and belief system. Some, quote, use amulets, geometric symbols, shiny objects, the crescent moon, red-hot iron, salt, alum, and water, end quote. Other remedies include rosemary, camphor, vinegar, gold, silver, alabaster oil, rue, or minerals like amber. In Puerto Rico, one way to detect if someone is afflicted is by pouring a drop of oil into a glass of warm water near the individual. If the oil dissolves in the water, rather than separating, the individual is in fact afflicted. The treatment or cure generally includes prayer and making the sign of the cross. In the Yucatan Peninsula, it is common to give the afflicted water, quote, from the glass of the person believed to be the cause of the evil, or for the mother to chew rue leaves and rub them on the child's eyelids. In parts of Mexico, a vegetable seed called ojo de venado, or deer's eye, is tied with a red cord and placed on the afflicted person's wrist for protection. In regions of Latin America, prayers and invocations to religious figures, such as Jesus, Mary, or various saints, are used to protect individuals. In parts of Europe, like Ireland, a shamrock is considered a protective symbol. In the Middle East, the Hand of Fatima, which is a palm-shaped amulet with an eye in the center, is used to ward off the evil eye. And depending on the country and specific culture in Africa, various protections include herbal medicines, consulting healers, wearing amulets, and more. It's fascinating how folklore and superstition can spread, not just across families and neighborhoods, but across continents and time itself, with each culture infusing their unique elements. To some, folklore may be nothing more than simple stories that are easily discarded. But for many others, folklore and superstition offer us a view across time and distance, giving us a fascinating and much-needed reminder that we are far more connected than we realize. Of course, as I was researching for various stories on El Mal de Ojo, I came across a terrific creepypasta, Evil Eye Isaac, written by Adolfo Ser. I'll share it with you now.
Did my card go through?
Oh no.
Your small business depends on its internet, so switch to Verizon Business. And you could get LTE business internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data for unlimited business.
There we go.
Get the internet you need at the price you want. Verizon Business. Starting price for LTE business internet, 25 megabits per second unlimited data plan with select Verizon Business smartphone plan savings. Terms apply.
Welcome to Sephora.
I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey.
I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse.
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi, Let's get you a basket.
Big news! Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by The Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Evil Eye Isaac, written by Adolfo Ser. Your eye is the lamp of your body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. Matthew chapter 6, verse 22. He who fights with monsters should beware, lest he himself become one. Friedrich Nietzsche. El Mal de Ojo translates into Spanish as evil eye. It is a harmful influence that an individual can project onto others through their gaze. This influence can come in the form of an illness or a stroke of bad luck. This faculty has been attributed to, for example, the Spanish King Philip II or the Blessed Pope Pius IX. Some are born with it, and others acquire it. In my case, it's a play on words. You'll understand. I was born on Tuesday, August 6, 1996 at noon. I turned 18 in 2014. I come from the cold and foggy city of Nova Cruz, whose sky is gray because of the terrible Mount Majestad. They say those of us who live there are just as cold, that it's a Mexico apart. Maybe they're just exaggerating. What more can I tell you? I'm just as much a sinner as you, of course, although I confess to you without the slightest shame that I believe in God. Don't you believe in Him? I pity you. Are you proud of not believing in Him? What a shame. You could use some faith. I see you're disgusted by the mere mention of faith. Perhaps you find those stories about talking snakes and someone very important who rises on the third day ridiculous. Well, I'll be honest with you. The world you live in makes me sick. You and I know very well that this world is repugnant. But bad news, the other world is infinitely worse. So much so that if all humanity knew about it, they would have two options. Either go completely mad, or meekly embrace the faith and voluntarily sink into piety and ignorance. Do you think I'm a sanctimonious person? A fanatic? An obscurantist? So be it. But that does not eliminate the materialistic idolatry of science, or the inhuman coldness of technology, the odious worldliness of society, or the blasphemous indifference of religions towards good and evil. You see how we are doomed. The most merciful thing that can happen to this world is for it to be devoured by divine fire. None of us deserve salvation. Maybe you think I'm abnormal because I'm not like you. Well, I've never been like anyone else, and I don't feel special because of that. Even if you doubt it, I was once a child, and I don't complain about my childhood. I had an excellent tutor who kept me from school and those pesky kids. I haven't suffered financial hardships, and I had everything I needed. I never needed, nor do I need, friends. While I was in this world, I had a complete family. Dad wrote horror stories. Grandpa taught me about God and faith. And Mom, well, she was quite the artist, a free spirit whose ego never made her wake up to real life. Although I always had an immense existential void in my soul, not conceiving a purpose in life, in the world, in God's plan. Until now. So I will begin my story, how I became what I am. Or rather, how I became what we are. Patience. You'll understand. 1. It's Saturday, December 24th, 2005. I'm 9 years old, and I'm traveling with my mom in my dad's navy blue Volvo. We are on the road that connects Nova Cruz with the municipality of La Esperanza. Even though the sky is gray, it looks beautiful. Let's go to the wooded areas beyond the city where she will teach me about Mother Nature. Grandpa and your father, she tells me. They've always told you about God this and the Bible that, but they've never spoken to you about nature. I'm in the back seat. From the rearview mirror, I look at her eyes. They're clear, beautiful, and sensitive. She continues. She is our true mother. She provides us with food, gives us rivers, calls us to Mother, I say. First of all, we have a real mother in heaven. And pardon me, everything you mentioned was and is by God's will. Well, yes, honey, but we passed the speed limit sign. A gray car from the other lane passes us. I don't think it's good to get so religious, Isaac. She notices me watching her. I must have a look of surprise. I don't believe that God is punishment or sin, much less that he is the church. In fact, I think that's why all of that is prohibited in the city. Mother, with all due respect, but I think you're blaspheming. No, sweetheart. That's what they make you believe. We were born to be free and live joyfully, but religion comes and scares us. Or do you think it's right to fear even something as beautiful as your body? The body is something beautiful and wise and gives us pleasant sensations. But Mother, it's pleasant sensations that bind our spirit to the world. We must repudiate them. Besides, the beauty of the body is something that each person interprets as they please. The body is so imperfect that it's subject to death for sin. She's annoyed, and somehow I feel bad for having upset her. But that's a lie, son. It's the religious garbage that Dad and you and Grandpa have fed you. From the other lane, a truck loaded with bricks appears in front of us. Mom wants to insist on being right, so she continues. If you think like that, you won't be able to be happy. And that's what I don't want, sweetheart. We're in this world to be happy. Grandpa says that everyone must carry their cross in order to reach heaven. That's fucking stupid, Isaac. I'm scared and she can feel it. The truth hurts. She has been hurt by the truth. We remain silent. Son, the rough truck continues ahead of us. Forgive me, my love. I don't want you to have those ideas. I don't answer. Her voice breaks. I see her clear eyes fill with tears. She turns to look at me. Honey, don't call me mother like I'm your general. Call me Mom. I'm your mother and I love you. A noise is heard. It is a dry impact that the wind carries to our ears like a messenger of death. Mom and I look forward. 5, 6, 7 bricks dance in the air, making graceful circles. The truck carrying them has gone off the road. The windshield shatters in a tangle of sharp glass and twisting metal. The last thing I see is a fragment of something thin and sharp hurtling towards my face. A loud bang, a horrifying grinding noise, and a loud tremor follow. Total darkness. I wake up. Everything around me is confusing. My perception is improving, and the blurred shapes are taking on a coherent appearance. I'm in a hospital room. I see my grandfather. He is asleep and has a rosary in his hand. I feel a strange sensation on my face and remember the fragment that flew towards me, and it becomes clear then. I have lost my left eye. There is no time for regret. God gives, God takes away. With a moan at first, then a faint voice, I call my grandfather. When I try again, he wakes up. He's completely shocked. He can't believe it. I'm awake and talking. They immediately notified Dr. Navarro, who soon came in to see me. Why does he have that expression of bewilderment, even fear, when he saw me? Outside you hear, there, that's where the dark cloud came in. But you were asleep. Damn, I saw her. She had grotesque arms and mouth all over the place. I'm not lying. I want another nurse. The doctor leaves the room. He has to treat that man. Grandpa closes the door. He has very bad news. Mom didn't survive the accident. She died. But that's not all. Dad also died, perhaps in a more tragic way. It was a fire in his cabin on the outskirts of town. It was his refuge, his secret refuge, Grandpa tells me. It's feared it was started, perhaps by himself. It happened 3 days ago. He said it all. I don't know what to feel. Should I cry? Should I wear black? Ah, Providence. Who can unravel its mysterious designs? Before such power, there is nothing but submission. We remain silent. "Grandpa," I finally say, "how long have I been unconscious?" He stares at me, and his answer justifies Dr. Navarro's impression. 40 days, he replies. I don't believe it. The last thing your father did for you was give you his blood. You lost a lot of it. You almost died. It's unheard of. It's impossible. It's a miracle. But we're alive, and that's what counts. I'm startled, not because of how long I was in a coma, nor even because of what happened to my parents. No, it's Grandpa's way of saying, we're alive. That Thursday, February 2nd, 2006, was the solemn Feast of Candlemas in the Catholic world, as well as the terrifying witchcraft Candlemas. 2. It's funny how God calls us. He always does, but we almost always like to turn a deaf ear. How different it would be if we all rejected vanity to follow the call. Mine starts when I turn 17. It's the morning of Tuesday, August 6, 2013. Professor Rita Quarzo, my efficient governess, has given me a diary. I'm not one for hidden memories or shameful secrets, but I'll keep it. The butler, Silas Blue, and his wife, Constanza, have given me simple but endearing gifts. After the simple celebration, the day resumes without further ado. It is at night when that happens. I'm brushing my teeth in the bathroom. In the mirror, I stare at my reflection. That dark face, marked by a scar that runs from the middle of my forehead, runs in a perfect diagonal line across my whitish, dead left eye, and ends at my cheekbone. The other eye is black and alive, a disturbing darkness. I remember our Lord saying that if the eye is a matter of sin, it must be plucked out. Suddenly, I felt a throbbing in my left temple, which I pressed to lessen, but it starts to get stronger and stronger, more and more unbearable. Pressing hard is now useless. Oh, good heavens! A drop of thick black liquid runs from my one-eyed eye, slides down my cheek, and falls into the white sink. I'm scared. I have to go quickly to Grandpa's. He's standing in his bedroom praying the rosary. I warn you, it stops now and at the hour of our death. At the general hospital again, the pain in my temple is gone. In the emergency room, Dr. Olmo saw us, and after some explanations, questions, and answers, the test came: X-ray, ophthalmology. The doctor asked Grandpa for the pajamas stained with the black substance to analyze them, but he placed them in soapy water inside the washing machine. That's extremely strange. I know him, and in his prudence, he wouldn't do something like that. But despite everything, it's true, so he did. I'll have to stay so they can keep an eye on what's happening. Grandpa Jacob's attitude seems strange to me. What is it? It's like I'm acting all this out. Or is it the world that's making me paranoid? That night, I dream of Dad emerging from the flames of hell. His skin looks like burnt plastic. His eye sockets black and empty. When you say son to me, that's when I wake up. Everything is dark. There's a persistent muzzled buzzing sound, and I hear moans in a distant room. It's like being in limbo.
Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Anyone can follow. It takes something special to be an original, which is why the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV arrives with new ways of surrounding you in luxury, including the ultra-wide 48-inch panoramic display and the multi-sensory Lincoln Rejuvenate experience. A true original never stops evolving. So meet the 2025 Navigator, the original that's all new and better than ever. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Navigator are trademarks of Ford or its affiliates.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you. Visit Blinds.com now for up to 50% off primetime deals and free professional installation. Rules and restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
3. The black substance has not leaked again, and the test results show nothing unusual. I think about the cases of demonic possession my grandfather told me about. Mom always rejected them. In fact, I think she rejected my entire catechism. Silas Blue leads us up to Grandpa's black Chevrolet. It's funny, I'm not afraid of cars, red bricks or glass. I remember those words about not fearing those who kill the body. It's a peaceful, cold evening. We've arrived in the city center. It's always quiet, but not now. The dreaded Greys, the Nova Cruz law enforcement forces, monitor a demonstration. We want our identity. We want our traditions. They're peasants from La Esperanza. I've heard terrible things about them, about how their traditions and festivals have a lot to do with witchcraft, with forbidden pacts with the devil, that the land they walk on is cursed, and that the country's ethnic groups have always spoken quietly about avoiding any contact with La Esperanza and its people, as well as with the area surrounding Mount Majesty. A Franciscan documented that the Aztecs already called these lands the fallen center of the world. It's strange, the police are intolerant of demonstrations. They used force against representatives of the Temple of the Esoteric Christ, and 2 weeks ago, against 2 protesters from a radical feminist organization. But strangely, not in this case. What are those doctors like, kid? I have no idea what's wrong with you. Grandpa smiles. He smiles with satisfaction. Forgive me for bothering you, Mr. Polvo, says Silas Blue. We're stuck in traffic in front of Plaza Mercaba, waiting for the light to turn green. From the car next to me, a young woman with brown hair stares at my one-eyed eye, either scared or surprised. I ignore her. Is the young man all right? He'll be better, Silas. He'll be better. It's the fateful morning of August 10th, the day when everything would change. After a breakfast of refrigerated leftovers, Grandpa invites me to see the rose bush in the yard. They're beautiful, aren't they? He asks me. They are beautiful. I believe it. It is a beauty that will never be found in human beings. A moment passes. I've noticed the absence of the servants from the start. What's going on? It's cold and gray clouds have covered the sky. It's funny how life begins. Grandpa tells me, his wrinkled, tanned fingers delicately touching a rosebud. I wish the great gardener were always with us to watch over us and make us pure and simple like these roses. His touch is delicate and sweet. Without warning, he told me everything you are about to read. Grandpa tells me that sin is a concept that religions have used to understand darkness, which, while not strictly denoting the absence of light, represents a conscious, powerful, and utterly malignant force, or if you will, destructive in nature. Darkness knows how and to whom to manifest itself. Its mission is to infect and corrupt all living things, to spread, and to bring about the end of all creation. Darkness dwells within us all to a greater or lesser degree, seeking to spread by harnessing our natural impulses until they completely degenerate. Darkness is something we cannot escape, and sooner or later, will consume us until we dissolve. Grandfather told me that, at first, that corrupting power nested in the primordial nothingness, but that it awakened when God created the light. The darkness found that nothingness no longer existed, and knew it had an entire universe to invade. The darkness seduced some angels from heaven, creating a terrible confrontation, but was defeated. However, after the 7 days of creation, the darkness, along with the rebel angels, created a twisted parallel version known as the Dark Sphere. This primordial event is portrayed in the cosmogonies of different peoples. Its best-known manifestation is found in the biblical Genesis, the fall. In this way, the darkness had discovered something vital, that it could not only influence human beings, but that its own world, the Dark Sphere, could expand into it. Although the first humans populated the earth, it was already inhabited by angels expelled from heaven. Their stay in this world gave them monstrous forms, although they could take on different appearance depending on their location, and it is said, the position of the stars. Those other inhabitants educated the first men in techniques and sciences, thus giving rise to the legends of those who fell from heaven to earth, or instructing gods. But all that knowledge came at a very high price. Men would worship these demons as gods and offer them blood sacrifices. And so the demons, in turn, provided abundant harvests, prodigious heroes, miraculous science, cults and priestly castes, and royal lineages, and above all, terrifying arcane knowledge that would grant them the means to contact and control the innumerable spirit powers. Perhaps this explains the similarity between different ancient cultures in their theogonies, or even in the appearance of certain artifacts advanced for their era. Grandfather insisted that those other inhabitants had various names, but that Dad, Professor Quartz, many others, and he himself knew them as the Outer Horrors. The outsiders still rule the world from the shadows today, and we remain their food source. Our fear, hatred, and our sacrificed flesh and blood have nourished them since the beginning, and continue to sustain them in even more twisted ways in this technological age. A civil war over the possession of more magical power caused the collapse of a glorious floating citadel called Althwandi, which some chronicles of the world refer to as Atlantis. Some humans no longer doubt what was once a suspicion. The Outer Horrors are nothing good and must be stopped at all costs. Using techniques inherited from Althwandi, a process is being prepared that would produce a special type of human being who would protect their fellow humans from the Outer Horrors. And not only that, they would have a special connection with the divine. These beings would be divided into two types: the mystics who would take the role of spiritual guides, and the sentinels who would fight against the monsters. This process is called the Golden Path, and refers to a hidden potential in human blood that allows whoever possesses it to become a living force against the darkness. Those who possess the path will be called guardians. They will guard the great march of humanity. This eternal crusade must be hidden, given the destructive impact that knowledge of the outsiders and the Dark Sphere would have on the world. As the ages pass, empires and heroes are born and die. A handful of guardians secretly work on a project, an institution that would have the means and power to continue the demon hunt or even end it. This project was christened Project Pax and was born during the conquests of Alexander the Great. Centuries later, Project Pax allied itself with the Christian faction led by St. Paul, giving birth to the Church. Years after Christianity became the religion of the Roman Empire, the Guardians experienced a terrible period in which they began to lose much of their powers, as if God himself had abandoned them, or as if they were beginning to distance themselves from his light. Today, there are people who still retain some faint remnant of these abilities. Many of the Church's most notable figures were familiar with the Outer Realms, the Dark Sphere, and magic. Examples include the Spanish Bishop Hosius, who composed the Nicene Creed, and the illustrious St. Augustine. This knowledge explains why Christian temples are built on pagan ones, or how ancient festivals are adapted to the canon of the emerging religion. In magic, this is called assimilation, and it serves to empower a new belief system from an old one. Project Pax dreams of converting pagan and Gnostic strongholds that still had dealings with the outsiders. But due to the worldly interest of both sides, these rivals multiplied or even gained more power. Everything fails miserably. Evangelization becomes an inquisition that functions as a political weapon, and military orders like the Templars are corrupted by the outsiders during the Crusades. The dream of Project Pax has become a nightmare. It wasn't until the 19th century that Anglican minister William Orson Weinman opened the St. George Nighthound Society in London. At that time, there were associations investigating paranormal phenomena, such as the Cambridge Ghost Club, but Weinman's society would dedicate itself to combating anything related to the paranormal. Through his sister, who lived in Paris, he learned with horror about spiritualism, psychic phenomena, and the blasphemies of the apostate priest Joseph Antoine Bouillon. The Weinman Club wouldn't last even a year, but there are those who claim that it encouraged former guardians who were in hiding or in decline to continue their mission in a different way. Although they are no longer what they had been in the past, they formed small, isolated groups that would respond only to themselves and to the hunting of monsters. And these were and are today the Nighthounds, of which Dad was one, as was my governess, Professor Rita Quarzo, and Grandpa himself. The group they formed was called the Hesketh Club, but they had long since given up hunting. All this that was revealed to me was knowledge of the hidden world that provokes wonder and fear, and that exposed a completely unknown facet of those who had been part of my life. What you just read was even longer. Grandpa Jacob told me everything. It's starting to get dark, and we have to go to his study on the second floor. He says he has something else to tell me, something more important, something that will change my life forever. 4. Perhaps what I'm about to tell you is the most disturbing part of this whole story, Isaac. Your father and I always saw in you a child unlike any other, that you could become something more, that your legacy wouldn't be worldly. You should know that much of what's written in your father's novels, son, is real. Most of his plots are inspired by cases from the Hesketh Club, or his studies of the paranormal and magic, and the hidden history of the world. He possessed a special intuition, a sense of understanding of all these things with which he managed to unravel some forbidden knowledge. In some of the club's cases, and in your father's research, it was not uncommon to stumble upon an elusive concept called the Ascension. This concept was highly prized by magicians and refers to a stage of spiritual evolution in which the adept became a supreme being, a higher entity. Even as a Nighthound, your father became so obsessed with the Ascension that he developed his own theories until, by chance, he discovered a procedure to reach an evolutionary stage similar to the Ascension, with the difference that the adept would become something different, a living fragment of darkness. The accident happened, killing your mother and keeping you in a coma for 40 days. In his desperation, your father turned to magic to save you. Something pink runs down my left cheek. A dark tear. It's thick. It's blasphemous. It's powerful. It's flowed from my one-eyed eye, but even though horror overwhelms me, I want to keep listening to what's being said to me. Remember I said his cabin was a secret hideaway? It was indeed. The headquarters of the Hesketh Club, which later became his personal supernatural research laboratory. He used it to set it on fire, thus performing a ritual sacrifice so he could transform into said fragment of darkness, because he feared that God's will was contrary to our interests. I don't justify it, but it's clear his theory worked perfectly. The dark liquid is no longer a mere trickle, but now flows thickly. Grandfather continues. Both your father and I always saw in you a future Nighthound, someone who would continue the family legacy. Unfortunately, we saw that you lacked any sign to confirm it. A shame. But now you possess a power beyond anything even the Guardians, the Nighthounds, dreamed of. You may be repulsed, but we must remember that sometimes extreme measures are necessary in difficult times. The end justifies the means, and after all, it will be the Almighty who will judge us at the end of days. Something in my heart, in my spirit, wants to come out with the power of an apocalyptic monster. Do you remember your father giving you his blood? Dr. Navarro told us it wouldn't guarantee your survival, but he wasn't counting on magic. Dad's blood in your veins allowed him to locate you when he transformed into another being, as well as to enter you. An echo from the past comes to my mind. That's where the dark cloud came in. He managed to locate you in the hospital while the cabin was still burning. This whole process happened on day 37 of your stay. You both resurrected on the third day. He now lives in you as a higher being dwelling in a unique house, your one-eyed eye. The dark tears are a small manifestation of him. And I know all this because in the end it was our plan, son. Your father's and mine, something that Providence allowed to succeed indisputably. In the end, we triumphed over fate. We filled our lamps with oil in the night. Now a new era is born for the Night Hounds. Suddenly, something emerges from my one-eyed eye. A horrific vomit of black matter. It is sprouted like a cursed flower and continues to flow. The pain is immense, but I don't utter a single cry. The light in the studio begins to flicker until we are plunged into darkness. A perfect darkness that simultaneously feels like light takes over my mind, body, and spirit, which cease to be mundane. It is an ecstasy, a rebirth, a dissolution into nothingness. I see the transfiguration of our Lord and his crowning with thorns. I see the stigmata of St. Francis of Assisi, Bosch's extraction of the Stone of Madness, and the fearsome third eye of Hinduism. My consciousness shoots out, passing through infinite voids and entering the dark sphere. It's not a place, but neither is it an abstraction. It's abysmal, decadent, made of skin, rusted steel, bones and blood. It's finite and infinite, primordial. I have sighted the cadaverous palace of the dread King Forgetfulness, and in its skies of wild, twisting clouds, I have seen the face of the vast, floating abode of the inhuman artificer looming. I see a worn-out plaza covered by thousands of screaming bodies, some chained together, others impaled by the torments inflicted on them by monstrous creatures. I see Dad emerging from a thick sea of spiritual slime. I see myself in a dark ecstasy. I see you somewhere in the universe reading these lines. It's a miracle. It's a curse. The 7 seals have been broken. The world collapses. Do you think it's right that you have to fear even something as beautiful as your body? I am no longer human. He had grotesque arms and mouths all over the place. I am ceasing to be. I am no longer. The adept would become something different, a living fragment of darkness. I die in a burst of eras that will no longer be. Yes, it is death. My death. I always hated this world anyway.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
Epilogue. I and the Father are one. John chapter 10, verse 30. It's August 6, 2014. I'm 18 years old. Unlike the rest of the country, in cold Nova Cruz, you're not considered an adult until you're 20. I say it's experience, not age, that gives you maturity. Either way, I feel like I've matured. I always knew from the beginning that I wasn't like the others, that I wasn't like you. But you know what? I don't get upset about it. It's curious how God calls us. Some are slow to respond, others die without ever hearing Him. But when His voice reaches us, Nothing is the same. One night, Grandpa told me about wonderful and terrible things about the world you live in, the world we all live in, and he told me something disturbing about Dad and myself. Since I learned the truth, I've learned so much about the hidden world. Knowledge that would inevitably destroy the consciousness of others. Now, thanks to Dad, that knowledge complements my own. That night, I had an ecstasy that allowed me to see into the darkness itself. The light in Grandfather's study returned, and what he saw extinguished all the horrors in the world. I remain in the room, lifted from the ground by a black, nightmarish substance that gushes from my one-eyed eye and covers the entire room. It trickles, it oozes, it moves. It's alive. Grandfather can only contemplate that hell itself has opened before his eyes. Dozens, hundreds, thousands of claws and mouths with sharp teeth formed from the thick darkness emerge angrily from the Dante-esque substance that begins to pour out of the windows and to envelop everything with frantic vivacity. That colossal deformed mass of fingers, long nails, and sharp teeth stretches beyond the limits of the house, and then beyond the cloudy sky until it silhouettes the full moon with its abominable shadow. My one-eyed eye is no longer such, but a dwelling place where my father lives. He is more than alive. He has greeted the world, creating the horror of horrors tonight. The next morning, neither Silas Blue nor his wife could explain the terrible disorder in the house. They were unpleasantly surprised to find Grandfather Jacob standing, livid, in his study, and to find me asleep on the roof. The police investigation was quickly concluded. After all, the city has bigger problems. Perhaps they thought it was all a matter of eccentrics. Grandfather had to be taken to the sanatorium, where he currently remains. I've been advised not to visit him. I have no clue about Professor Rita Quarzo. I need to know everything about the Hesketh Club. Did she leave because she knows what's happening? What's coming? You know, it would be unfair not to remember Mom, since she, in part, made all of this possible. Thanks, Mom. I told you about God's calling. Mine is clear, to be a night hound. Now begins the monster hunt, the eternal crusade. I'm not thinking of starting another Hesketh Club just yet, but you'll never know when you'll need to work together. It's a bit funny, isn't it? A half monster fighting full monsters. God has a curious sense of humor. I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes I remember those words if your eye is an occasion of sin, and doubt arises. But I remember that the threat not only exists, it's immeasurable, and I think about the reading of the talents. This is one I don't plan to bury until the second coming. God will decide the fate of our souls. Thus, in plural. Speaking of which, I've had a conviction lately, or maybe it's just a nagging thought. But believe me when I tell you that even though we live in an evil world, I am certain that the future is something glorious. I wish to see heaven and earth open in a hallelujah that will shake the entire cosmos. I will raise my arms, and likewise, from my left eye will rise a multitude of twisted claws with countless jaws. We will point to the luminous infinity, and for the first time on cold Nova Cruz, thousands of voices will cry out the forbidden name of God. Then the last shred of humanity's hope will burst. The great march will be over. Dad and I haven't yet achieved anything as grand as that night of August 10th, but who can ignore the power we could achieve in the future? Will we be the ones to unleash Judgment Day? I hope we can see you on that great day. In any case, nothing is impossible for God. You know, it's interesting, because I'm Puerto Rican, and I remember hearing about El Mal de Ojo growing up, except it was always spoken of in jest towards other people. Something like, "Don't give me the evil eye," with a short laugh afterwards. I always thought it was kind of a silly thing, because my experiences led me to believe that. But looking back, I wonder if those short laughs were less jokey and more nervous. maybe I had it wrong for most of my life. As we close this episode of the Red Treehouse, we're left with these lingering questions. Is it possible to cause harm, illness, or even death simply by looking at another person? And are the strange occurrences that have been attributed to El Mal de Ojo coincidence, or something truly evil? I've shared the story. Now you decide for yourself. I'm your host, Will. Thanks for joining me in the Red Treehouse.